Fixing Time, a story of courage and confidence. In a quiet coastal town, there was a small, humble watch repair shop with a faded wooden sign that read, Fixing Time. The owner was a cheerful and charismatic man, known for greeting every customer with warmth and friendly banter. However, his eldest son was entirely the opposite, quiet, shy, and reluctant to speak to anyone. The townspeople playfully called him the Silent Shadow, because whenever customers approached him, he would lower his gaze and respond with barely a whisper. This worried his father deeply. "How can my son ever take over the business if he remains so timid?" the watchmaker would wonder. Despite many attempts to encourage his son, each failed interaction made the young man's self-doubt grow stronger. The more his father scolded him, the less confident he became. One afternoon, the father had to leave town to acquire rare watch parts from the city, leaving his son in charge of the shop for the first time. Before leaving, he gave clear instructions, but inside, the boy felt as tense as an overwound spring. On the first day, customers came into the shop asking questions about watch repairs and prices, but the boy stammered nervously, unable to answer clearly. Frustrated, the customers left empty-handed. On the second day, a well-dressed stranger appeared, claiming he was the father's old friend. With smooth words and a confident manner, he persuaded the shy young man to hand over all the valuable antique watches for safekeeping. Too timid to challenge or question him, the boy watched helplessly as the stranger took everything away. When his father returned and saw the empty shelves, he was furious. "How could you be so foolish?" he shouted. "You've cost me everything. Get out of my sight. I don't want to see you again." Feeling ashamed and heartbroken, the young man wandered down to the harbor. Gazing at the deep waters, he believed his life had no meaning anymore. Just as he stepped closer to the edge, an old sailor with a white beard and wise eyes gently placed a firm hand on his shoulder. "The sea isn't the place to give up on life, young man," the sailor said kindly. "Tell me, what troubles you so deeply?" The young man reluctantly shared his story, pouring out all his sadness and regret. The sailor listened carefully, then spoke calmly. "I can help you regain your confidence, but you must promise to follow my instructions for the next 3 days. If you succeed, you'll discover you're far more valuable than you ever imagined." Hesitantly, the young man agreed. On the first day, the old sailor asked him to speak with 5 strangers at the harbor and ask each of them a simple question. "What makes you truly happy?" Nervously, he approached each person. A fisherman spoke of the joy in catching fish for his family, a shopkeeper described the simple pleasure of serving others, and a mother shared her happiness in seeing her children smile. By evening, the young man realized that connecting with people wasn't so frightening after all. On the second day, the sailor took him to a small classroom at the local library. "Teach these children something about clocks, whatever you know," he instructed. The young man hesitated, embarrassed. "But I'm no teacher, and I don't know much." The sailor smiled gently, replying, "You know more than they do. Just speak honestly from your heart." Standing before the eager eyes of the children, the young man began to explain how clocks work, why time is precious, and the fascinating history behind the first pocket watch. At first, his voice trembled, but gradually it grew steady. By the end of the lesson, the children applauded, and he felt a new sense of pride and accomplishment. On the third day, the sailor gave him his most challenging task yet. "Now you must go home, look your father in the eyes, and sincerely apologize. Ask him for another chance." Fearful, the young man hesitated. "My father won't forgive me," he whispered. The sailor looked him squarely in the eyes and said, "You've already faced 2 great fears. Don't let this final one defeat you." Summoning all his courage, the young man returned home, stood before his father, and said softly, "Father, I'm deeply sorry for disappointing you. Please give me another chance to make things right." His father looked at him carefully, noticing the newfound determination in his son's eyes. Slowly, he nodded and placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "Everyone deserves a second chance," he said gently. "Show me you mean it." Returning to the harbor to thank the old sailor, the young man asked, "You've helped me greatly, but what is the secret to confidence?" The sailor smiled warmly. You've already discovered it yourself. Fear is your greatest enemy. Each time you face it, you become stronger. Confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you earn by overcoming your fears. Always remember, the first step is the hardest, but every step after becomes easier. Years later, that shy young man had transformed the humble watch shop into a thriving business, known widely for its exceptional quality and friendly service. Customers admired his confidence and kindness, often unaware of his past struggles, and he often told those around him, "Never let fear define who you are, because beyond fear lies the strength and success you've always had within you."